I'm going to skip ahead in the pattern a little bit. I'm going to make my zipper piece. I believe it's step 39 in the pattern, and I'm getting it out of the way so that later on when I'm sewing the interior together, I already have the zipper done. So for the zipper panel, I need my piece M, and I have 2 mirrored lining pieces, and same with the exterior. And if you are cutting these out from the table, you have to make sure you have a I think it's 3 inches, yeah, 3 inches by 1 1/4 notch cut out of one side. So I'm going to set aside my lining pieces. Oh, and the other thing I need is this piece and zipper end, and a zipper that is at least 12 inches long. This one's longer. And I prefer using these long pole size 5 handbag zippers. You can make it work if you have a smaller zipper, a narrower zipper, but this has the best results. Okay, first I'm going to unzip it, and this is going to be, oops, I'm going to make this in the camera. I have my 2 sides of the zipper panel. So I'm just going to pick one side, this one right here, and I have this half of the zipper that is going to be on this side. But it's going to be sewn like this, so that it's ultimately facing up. So I'm going to take the right side of the zipper and put it down. So the raw edge, this is the right, I know it's confusing because I have no interfacing. This is the top of the panel. This is the right side of this exterior piece, and I'm going to put it right sides together with the zipper. And I already made a mark 3/4 of an inch from this end. That's where my my end of my zipper is going to be, and then I'm going to fold this up so this part doesn't end up in the zipper. I'm going to clip this together all the way down. Okay, and now I have the other side, and when this is facing up, it's going to be like this on this side, but right sides together. So I line up this zipper end with a 3/4 mark and fold this back. And this is a good opportunity for me to make sure that my pieces match up. So I'm going to just hang my zipper down like this and make sure that, yep, looks like that's correct. Okay, so I am going to baste this side on close to the edge. And you can do just one side at a time if you'd like. And I'm basting these both at the same time. Okay, so this is what we have so far. That's what it looks like. Now we are going to sandwich this zipper between the exterior and the lining pieces. So the side opposite the zipper, here's the zipper, here's the side opposite. This is the only side we're not sewing. We're going to be, and these short ends, we're not sewing those closed, but we're going to be sewing here, here, and along the zipper side. So I'm going to clip these together on those edges. And then I'm going to do that with the other side too. All right, I've got both of these clipped now. Okay, I am going to sew these notches, and these are sewn at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just like the majority of the pattern. Okay, I'm going to do the notch on the other side too. Okay, so now I have both of these notches sewn, and I'm going to sew the main part. I'm going to take this one, and for both of these, you're going to want to start at this short edge. Just one second. I'm going to start at this short end. At this point, you want to have a zipper foot. Start with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. But when you get over to this edge, the zipper edge, we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you are going to sew about halfway down and then back stitch and leave it like that. So I now have sewn down just half of this. And I'm going to repeat on this side, sewing the short end first, 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then change to 1/4 inch seam allowance at the zipper. Sew halfway, and then stop sewing. At this point, we can cut the corners and edges. We're going to trim them, but not the edge with the zipper, just the edges with the 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to trim those and clip this corner so that it goes up to the stitching but not through it. Same over here. Now I'm going to turn my zipper panel right side out. And at this point, I'm going to pull through the zipper, and through this hole I'm going to have to pull through the other side. So it should look about like that. Same thing on the other side. I have a point turner to poke out the corners if I need to, but usually if I just pull on the zipper, it pulls that out. And then I'm going to pull this second side through this opening. Okay, now I'm going to take my clips and I'm going to clip around this whole thing because we're going to be top stitching on this part of the fabric and basting this part of the fabric. So I'm going to clip everything. You can press this with the iron to make it nice and crisp, or do what I'm doing and press it with your fingers. Now I'm going to clip the zipper part. Okay, in this open part, I'm going to fold it under. Forgot to mention, and I forgot to do this, when you baste the zipper on, it should be basted at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I didn't do that, so I'm going to have to fold the zipper in a little extra. So I will make a note earlier in the video to baste with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And on the back, I'm going to fold it in a 1/4 inch. Okay, so that is all clipped, and I'm going to repeat that with the other side. Okay, I now have both sides of this clipped, and I'm going to top stitch along these lines and baste along this line. So I will increase my stitch length before sewing. Okay. I actually switched back to my normal foot for top stitching. now this side. All right, I am almost done with this part. I want to zip up the zipper. That's what this is going to look like. And with the zipper zipped, I'm going to chop off the end. And then definitely don't unzip after this point. Okay, that little piece I mentioned before, piece N, I need that now. I'm going to put it, it's a square, so I'm going to fold it in half and sew up. Sew one side and the other, 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now if you used a shorter or a narrower zipper, you will have to adjust this piece because your whole zipper end will be narrower. I'm going to trim off these edges. Okay, so I actually had to redo my end thing because one thing I forgot is with really thick fabrics like this canvas, it wasn't doing the 1/2 inch seam allowance, it wasn't quite big enough to go on the end. So I sewed it up again with 3/8 seam allowance, and that is going to fit on nicely. Well, probably a little snugly after I have to turn it right side out, but it's going to fit. So now I'm going to cut these edges off, turn it right side out, and this will be a little shorter than normal because I had to reuse the same piece, but I'd already cut seam allowances off, so to make do a little bit. So now I'm going to fold this in. It's not going to be very long, but that's okay, as long as it covers the end of the zipper. There. So before you cut off your seam allowances, I would check it to see if it's going to fit at the end, and if not, you can re-sew it with smaller seam allowances. That fits perfect. Now I'm going to sew this on. All around the 4 edges. All right, my zipper panel is now finished and ready to be used once I sew up the lining.